Off the tee, you see a very wide expanse of fairway up to the bunker on the right at the top of the hill. You see the hole go downhill and then back uphill, and of course, it's totally lined by people. It starts narrow by the tee, then spreads out, and that really frames the hole. The green has a false front. If you land short in the first 20 to 30 feet, it's going to roll all the way back off the green. So you have to carry the false front, and that makes the whole green smaller. Some players will approach the first hole differently because it's the Masters, and obviously that's exciting, but you really have to suck it up and make a good swing and not get too tense. The final round in 1977, when I won, I hit my ball into the right trees. Fortunately, I had some sort of opening and I just got it down to the right of the green and made a really good chip and made par. But that tee ball, it was not a good way to start. The primary visual is a big fairway bunker on the right. It's a detriment to the modern player because they can reach it. In the old days, we were more worried about missing left because without the second cut, the ball would run all the way into tree trouble. There's a lot of strategy involved because how you play your second and third shots depends greatly on where the flagstick is. If the pin is on the left, you want to play right. If the pin is on the right, you want to play way left. Because the green is canted so severely left to right, you have to leave yourself an uphill putt. Get out of position and you can make an easy 6. You can make your biggest mistake not giving yourself leeway for your third shot or your pitch. In the olden days, it was Raymond Floyd and Seve Ballesteros because they were so good at their short games and wedges. The green requires skill and strategy and philosophy. They not only had all the shots, but they had a knack for always being in the right spots. For me, mostly just a 220 or 230 yard shot. I can't reach the green with my driver, and I can't drive it over the fairway bunkers. The wind is always swirling. That's the hardest thing, to guess the wind and judge the distance on a very delicate 8, 9, or wedge into a very tricky green. Unless you can drive the green like Bryson, the advantage is to be gained on the second shot. If you can hit an accurate approach below the hole, you can have an easy putt. You don't want to go too long, and playing too safe over the right-hand side and leaving yourself a downhill putt, I've seen a lot of 3-putts from there. The ones who keep the ball below the hole, if at all possible. My Augusta advice to younger players is always uphill chips and putts, not side hill or downhill. An elevated tee shot, the green sitting below you, and a lot of sand. The bunkers are big, which really guard the green and make it stand out. 2 things. It's home to the only palm tree on the course, and there is tremendous undulation on the green. The hole used to be very gettable before they lengthened it. The green tilts from back to front and right to left. You simply cannot miss right. Hit it long and right by the bamboo trees, and it's an easy bogey. On Sunday in 1998, I'd birdied 2 and 3 heading into the 4th hole. The pin was back right on the top of the ledge. I hit a full 7-iron and pulled it top level, but all the way on the left side. It left me with a very long putt for birdie, say 60 feet. I was praying to 2-putt for par. Somehow, some way, I made the putt for birdie. It was a major turning point in my win. Off the tee, you see a very wide fairway. To my eye, it almost looked like a football field wide, though the fairway bunkers on the left are nowhere you want to be. Fairway bunker off the tee is a big mistake, and it's such a difficult shot with such a steep face that you can't even see where you're hitting. Also, if you leave your approach short left or right, you've got to be Houdini to skate with a par. The difficulty of the green. There's a little nose in the front of it that rejects balls to the left and right. You absolutely have to get it on the top shelf. In 1995, Jack Nicklaus eagled it twice during the tournament. Jack's game was beautifully suited to that hole because he could hit his iron so high. But still, to hole out twice in 1 week is simply incredible. I wasn't like Jack. I couldn't hit the ball way up in the air, so I'd take a 3 or 4 iron and try to hit a hard runner up there. That's what I remember, how I had to take my own path to that green. Visually, it's not especially intimidating, but there's a lot more to it than meets the eye. You're looking at a downhill shot to a large green that's roughly 100 feet below the tee. Just how much slope and contour there is, this hole will reach up and grab you if you don't play it smart. It depends on where the pin is. If it's on the top right shelf and you can put it in tight there, that's a big advantage. But if you go flag hunting, you're also taking a pretty big risk. There are lots of trouble spots, but the worst is probably way long. From there, you can easily chip it back down way off the green. Before you know it, you've made a quick 5 or 6. The year I won, the pin was on the front left. I had about a 20-footer with 10 to 12 feet of break, and I curled it in for a 2. That was a huge boost. It's tree-lined on both sides with really nowhere to miss, left or right, and you might be blocked out at your approach. The tee shot is absolutely the most important spot to gain an edge. From the fairway, you'll either have a short iron or even a pitching wedge in and can really use the green slope. There's just so much to worry about if you're out of position. Some holes at Augusta you can get away with that, but this certainly isn't one. When I won in 2016, I made a bogey and 3 pars on 7. It's not a hole you can overlook. The tee shot is somewhat narrow, at least the landing zone is. You have to avoid the right bunker off the tee. The second shot plays nearly 10 to 15 yards uphill and is blind to the green. My strategy is to keep the hole in front of me, meaning be aggressive when warranted, but eliminate a 6 or higher. Stay below the hole, use the slopes to my advantage, lay up to ideal distances, and trust my wedges. We had a north wind every day in 2007, so getting home in 2 wasn't really in the cards for me. Laying up on the proper side of the fairway was everything. Of course, it's the Masters, so crazy things happen. On Sunday, I hit my lob wedge to a front pin and with too much spin, and it spun right off the green. Then I chipped in for 4. The course has changed from the first time I played it. 9 has gotten tighter and tighter and longer too. The hole goes right to left, but the fairway slopes left to right. The longer you drive it, the easier the hole is. Generally, you want to take the drive as close to the trees on the right as possible. Depending on the conditions, bigger hitters can just blow it over the left trees and be hitting a nice wedge in from the flat. The ball is always below your feet and you're hitting up to the green. That lie gets your attention because you almost have to draw the ball in on your approach, but it's always a fade lie. Being on the correct tier of the green is so important. The 9th green is one of the harder greens to read at Augusta because of those tiers. Every hole at Augusta has something different to offer. Every one has some kind of character. That's what makes it a great golf course. As a lefty, in general, I'm trying to hit a right-to-left fade at Augusta, and number 10 is the most prevalent one, along with number 13. The advantage is being long enough to get down to the flat area and have a 7-iron in, instead of a 4-iron off the slope. I'm generally not long enough to get there unless the wind is blowing. I won't name names because I don't know the stats, but higher ball hitters definitely have an advantage because you can have more control with your second shot. When you reach that 10th tee, you're anticipating Amen Corner. It's the signal that you're heading to the back 9 at Augusta National. On Sunday especially, it really gets the adrenaline going. A long hole. It's not particularly tight, but it's much tighter than it used to be. There's a point in the fairway, if you can reach it, where you can get a little more run and get a little shorter club in your hand into that green. Makes a big difference. Miss right and you have to pitch out, and you still have to face that tough approach with the water left. How the mound's short and right of the green can affect your shot. They can be a positive or a negative, helping you bounce it on the green or into the pond. Something happened years ago. Of course, my chip-in 1987 makes it unforgettable for me, but I do think it's a great golf hole. Hard, but not impossible. Anyone can play it. Just get it on the green. First of all, just how small the green is. Then, what the wind is going to do. If you're lucky enough to play Augusta once and the wind's blowing, you'll have no clue. Sometimes you look at the way the ripples are going in Race Creek. or you look at some trees way over there. Normally, I'm pretty good at the hole. I don't know why the ball stopped from rolling into the creek. I have no idea whatsoever. I was nervous, probably as nervous as I've ever been in my life. As I watched it, I knew it was going to be close. If that ball goes in the water like everyone else's, I'm not sure what would have happened. 13 is one of those holes that I'd say 85% of the field can get home in 2, so eagle is immediately on your mind. When I stand on the tee, I see the shape of the fairway, which creates the shape of the shot. For me, being left-handed, that's a cut. That's what I envision, how I'm going to get the ball around the corner so I can reach the green in 2. On my approach, I have to aim at the creek on the right side of the green, which makes the shot even tougher because of the what-if factor. What if it doesn't cut? In 2014, I hit my tee shot over the trees. It left me with a sand wedge into the green. I'll always remember going driver, sand wedge, and making birdie. When you combine the beauty and the history, I'd say it's my favorite hole on the course. We've seen it all on 13. On Sunday at Augusta National, this is where you start hearing the roars. It's a pretty generous tee shot, a dogleg left, but you don't really have to draw it because the fairways have played slow for many years. But if you try and hug the left side, those trees lean out and will really swallow up a ball. The right half of the fairway, it's a nice spot to hit the green from. However, if you do hug the left side and bomb one, it'll release a bit and you'll get a few extra yards on your drive. Probably getting the front slope of the green involved on any shot. You have to hit your second over it with, say, a 9-iron. But you'd rather hit it over the green than hit it short and deal with that 6-foot rise. It's like a 3-tiered green running from left to right. The danger pin is left because then you'll have a really gnarly chip, but every other pin is a bit of a feeder. The year I finished second in 2011, I hit a lovely shot in there and made a putt for birdie, and it tied me for the lead at the time. It was like, hang on, here's the first time ever, 4 holes to go, and I'm tied for the lead in a major. That was a strong memory for me. There's a group of pines that face you down the left side. The fairway is really wide, but the gap between the trees isn't. I'm always trying to play a fade off that far right pine on the left side. The elevation is the hardest thing to understand. The tee shot is pretty flat, but the second shot is downhill a good ways. The green is not that deep, even on the right side, because the first 8 paces, if your ball lands there, it comes back into the water. If you miss it right, you've really got no chance at going for the green. Depending on the direction of the wind from the far left side, I still have a chance, but if I miss it right, 0 chance. Last year, coming down the stretch on Sunday, I pulled my drive, so I had to lay up. Wind off the right to a back middle pin. That was a new pin on Sunday, and I hit a really nice 3/4 controlled 54-degree wedge in there to 7 feet and made the putt. I don't know exactly where I stood, but that obviously gave me a bigger lead. A very pretty hole and a lot of people. In a tournament, I don't think I've ever hit a ball in the water there, and so it's really never been a factor for me. Basically, I see the middle of a green and a ridge, which is going to direct the ball to one side of the green or the other. It doesn't look that much from the tee, but once you get onto the green, throw a ball on it and watch it roll back. It rolls to a pretty consistent spot. So when the pin is on the left side, it's more about making sure that you have the right distance than it is about accuracy. It was a centerpiece of several of my wins. In 63, I holed about a 12-footer, which put me ahead. In 75, I hit a 38-foot putt up the hill. And of course, in 86, I almost made a 1. If you took all of my 16s, I'm probably more under par here than any of Augusta's other par 3s. In my day, it was possible to get to the top of the hill and leave a short iron into the green. Now, it plays much longer, with added trees down the right. It makes for quite a demanding tee shot. If you're stuck back on the upslope with a mid-iron in your hand with very little depth perception, it makes it very difficult to judge. The biggest mistake would be long right over the green. It's at least 8 feet below the green surface, trying to land the ball on a downslope. My best memory is from 89 when I holed a long putt up and over the ridge from the left side. It was raining and I gave it a slap and it went in with great speed. Out of the narrow chute, my tee strategy is dictated by the wind. If it's out of the north, a headwind, I'll hit driver. If it's calm, I'll hit 3-wood. Basically, I'm using a club that puts me just short of the closest bunker on the left. The most difficult hole location is back left. It's a bear, only about 1.5 yards beyond the crest. There's a lot of room behind, but long is not where you want to go. I've had a lot of incredible experiences at this hole. In years when the tournament hung in the balance, I kept my head down, still grinding. Those times, it was hard to appreciate it because you're so locked in on what you still need to do. In 1997 and 2001, though, I walked up the fairway with both titles virtually in hand. I knew I was going to be Masters champion, and I was able to soak it all in. There's not another feeling like it. In 2019, to have both Sam and Charlie there, and for them to see what it's like to have their dad win a major, I hope that's something they'll never forget.